Shaitanir Rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with a noble and universal greeting of peace. The greeting that has been used by the prophets and messengers of our universal Creator, Almighty Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukr to Allah. It's another Friday, day that we congregate to remember our Creator together. And I've been speaking about my journey, or should I say adventure, to Iman, that continues to a stronger and stronger Iman. And so I've been looking forward to today and to go deeper into this adventure. So I've been saying to us for the last few months that there was an experience that I had in my life, and I felt helpless and hopeless. And the usual thing that we usually do when we feel helpless and hopeless, we turn towards our Creator. In fact, there are verses in the Quran where it says that when people feel desperate, hopeless and helpless, they turn towards their Creator. But when things are going good, they don't turn towards their Creator. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, oftentimes people, whether they are aware of a Creator or not, whether they are deniers of God, associators of partners and powers with God, or hypocrites, people when they are desperate, they don't know what else to do. So they're desperate, and so they call out, help me, anybody will help me, who will help me, and then eventually people say, we can't help you. And they say, oh, nobody can help me, God, so, and that's where I found myself, in a situation like that, help me. But I let go of that desperation, fix the situation up. Because that's what we usually do. When we hit rock bottom or we come to the dead end, people look around and they see what they are living and they think, oh no, God created this, or God caused me to have this problem. And, please God, why did you do this to me? Stop making me suffer. Or, please God, get me out of my misery. Please change me, my body, my life, my marriage, my children, my children's body, life, marriage, whatever. Change the situations in my life. And this is what people do. People, they feel very desperate oftentimes, and they pray for relief. They pray for safety. They pray for excitement. And fortunately for me, when I hit that point in my life, one of the lowest points in my life, I didn't pray for relief, safety and excitement. I didn't. I prayed for the way out. Show me. Show me. Something I don't know. Show me what I don't know. I must be living in a way that is causing problems. I'm living in a problematic way. And that's what I was pointed out to, that it wasn't God that was causing problems for me. It wasn't God that was testing me, inverted commas, causing me to suffer. Remember what the Quran says, Allah wants ease for you. Allah has given you favors. And if you count the favors of Allah, you'll never count them. If you're thankful to Allah, He'll give you more. Allah responds to the invocation of the supplicant as the supplicant calls upon Him. So where's the suffering there? We've heard from the gurus and the pandits directly or indirectly that Allah causes our suffering. And it's a test. Got to suffer with, style, put a smile on your face, and that's what they think, sabr is. They think sabr is resignation. It's not. So Allah is here for us and is calling us back to living naturally, a life tayyibun. And I didn't know I was living unnaturally. I didn't know the Quran says when you forget Allah, yours will be a depressed life. I didn't know that until you remember Allah, Allah won't remember. Allah remembers those who remember Him. I didn't know. I didn't know that, verily in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. I was trying to find assurance in people, things and experiences in the world, in me, in others. I didn't know it was in the remembrance of Allah that hearts find assurance. I didn't know that if you remember Allah abundantly, you're certain to progress and prosper. I didn't know any of these things, Anyway, when I hit rock bottom, when I came to the dead end, I did not stay there in a state of needy helplessness please God, please God, please God, please God. I said, show me. Show me where I'm in error. Show me. What am I not seeing? Guide me. And I opened up to guidance. So a lot of people, they will not ask for guidance. They're not interested in guidance. They don't value guidance. They don't want to use guidance. They just want to remain the same. And they want their lives to change. They just want Allah to fix them and their lives up. I don't know if any of you are like that. You want to remain the same. You think Allah is causing problems for you. You think Allah has given others, is not giving to you. You're turning to Allah to fix things up. He's not fixing it up. You're turning to Allah to give you things. He's not giving you things. You're like, what's up with Allah? You know what I mean? That's ignorance, superstition, arrogance. People are unaware of truth, haqq. By the end of the day, human beings are in a state of loss. Except those who have faith and do good deeds and turn towards truth, guiding others to truth and guiding others to patient perseverance. This is what we are about here. Iman, Amal, Life Tayyibun. We are interested in truth, what's going on here, and how to persevere patiently, what's our purpose here. So I didn't know any of that. I didn't know any of this. So, shukr to Allah, I humbled myself. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm needy, fix me, please, please, please. It was like, I'm unaware, I'm ignorant, show me. I opened up to being guided. I valued guidance. I received guidance. I wanted to see the error of my ways. I wanted to see where I was erring. How was I living that was causing problems for me, I want to, how was I living that causes problems for me? You know what I mean? I wanted to see that, really. I was willing to see where I was in error. I was willing to correct. See, most human beings, they don't want to see where they are in error. They don't want to correct. They just want to carry on the same, thinking Allah must just change things around them, in them, for them, whatever it is. So, this is, when things changed for me. And guidance. I began to respect, value, appreciate guidance, the value of guidance. Up until then it was like, oh, problems, get rid of them. If I had something, I won't feel bad, I'll feel good, But I didn't know guidance, to feel good about guidance. I didn't know that. I didn't know the precious nature of guidance. You know what I mean? Most people don't want to know anything about guidance. Most people don't want wisdom. They don't want guidance. They don't want to reason. They don't want to learn. They don't want to grow. They just want to remain ignorant, create problems, and they want God to fix those problems for them. They want God to deal with the symptoms of their ignorance. They want God to deal with the consequences of their choices. And really, I was one of those people. And so that's when I decided to open up. Something I know I don't know. I'm aware that I'm unaware. Something is missing. I'm not getting something yet. My life is an issue. My life is an issue. There's something in my life I don't know. I know that much. I want to learn. Remember, the Quran, about 700 places, has a focus on learning, the importance of human beings to learn, to grow, to reason. Most people don't want to do that. Most people think they already know. Most people don't want to humble themselves. Most people think, well, I know, I got this man, he got good money, he bought the house, he pays the bills, he brings home the food, all I got to do is cook it, this is good. Most people are like that. They depend on other people. That verily in the remembrance of their husbands and their husbands' incomes, they feel assured, Some people are like, I got somebody to take care of me. Others are like, I can take care of myself. Verily in the remembrance of their own incomes and their own money and their own doings, their own application, they feel very assured. Some people are like, I'll take care of other people must turn to me, other people's remembrance of me and what I do for them, they must feel assured. You get what I mean? So people don't know. I didn't know. But I wanted to know. And so, this is how my life changed. It's when I opened up to guidance and I began to accept truth. What is truth? See? And I was shown what is going on here. Like where we are on the planet, what's going on here. why are we here, how this place works. I was in a lower perspective, in lower perceptions, because that's what it is when you're a non-believer, when you're a disbeliever, when you have beliefs about God, when you have ideas about God being a man, being a woman, being a thing, being a figment of your imagination, when you have ideas of God but you don't have an experience of God, you just say Islam, Quran, this, that, whatever, but you're a hypocrite. You say you believe in Allah and the last day, but you don't believe in Allah in the last day. If your heart is diseased and you are astray, but you don't turn to guidance, that disease in your heart is expanded, and then you're astray and you're left to stray, and you continue to be astray. Remember what Allah says in the Quran, that neither will your wealth nor your children avail you, except those who bring to Allah a purified heart. The Quran says it is for us to remember Allah. Human beings forgot Allah, and all of us are to remember Allah. We are to go beyond forgetfulness into the remembrance of Allah. So the hypocrites think they remember Allah because they're doing all their prayers. The gurus and pandits told them to do their prayers. They're busy doing all their prayers. So they think that's remembering Allah. But the question is this: is there assurance in your heart? Because verily, in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. See, this is in the Quran. This is what we will call the yardstick or the touchstone or the acid test, whatever you want to call it, the bottom line. In the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. So the question is, the statement is, if your heart is experiencing assurance, not your mind, if your heart experiences assurance, you must be remembering Allah. So the question is, are you feeling assured? Are you feeling reassured? Do you accept that your satisfaction is ensured? Are you experiencing being cared for, taken care of, everything being taken care of for you, not by a man, not by a woman, not by yourself, not you for another? Are you experiencing being taken care of? See? Assurance. Are you experiencing assurance? So when I was freaking out and freaking in, and when many people are freaking out and freaking in and they're turning to Allah desperately, they don't know Allah, but they're turning to Allah. So they're not turning to Allah because they don't know Allah. They're just desperate. People pray to all kinds of things, to people. They turn to things. If you turn to other than Allah, you're not turning to Allah. Only when you turn to Allah, then you turn to Allah. I don't know if that makes sense. So, and if you turn to Allah, if you remember Allah, your heart experiences assurance. So people, if you're remembering Allah, your heart will experience assurance. That's all I can tell you. And up until that point, my heart wasn't assured. My heart was diseased, like most people's hearts are diseased. The Quran says people's hearts are diseased, and that disease is expanded, and people are astray, and they are left to stray. They say they believe in Allah and the last day, but they don't believe in Allah and the last day. They lie to themselves, thinking they lie to Allah, but they don't lie to Allah, they only lie to themselves. And their hearts are diseased, and that diseased heart is left to expand. They're astray, and they're left to stray. You know what I mean? So you've got to ask yourself the question, you know what I mean? Because the priority is to remember Allah, experience assurance. I call it spiritual well-being. I call it spiritual joy. A natural state of the human being when they have submitted their satanic loyalties, when they release the belief in other than Allah, when they release the belief in powers other than Allah, when they stop turning to other than Allah. The moment you go into plurality or duality, two-ness, or more than two-ness, more than one basically, you go into fear and worry and stress and shame and all that sort of thing. That's what happens when you worship Satan. Satan suggested other than Allah to be focused on, felt about, paid attention to. Don't worry about Allah, you'll be the God in this world that will never perish. So Adam and Eve thought this is great, and they went into this trance state where the children of Adam and Eve, have been in a trance state where everybody who had a mother and father, will have to remember Allah and experience the transformation from insecure to secure. The Quran says, in the remembrance of Allah, when Adam and Eve, were in horror after their experience of disconnection, because they knew the connection. They felt what it was before. They had forgotten. Before Satan tempted them, prompted them. The moment they felt the difference, Satan told them, this is good. Prophet Adam realized what a mistake he made. The mistake they made, and he repented. He says, I'm sorry. I have remorse. Allah said there that you and your children will be until guidance comes to you. Those who accept the guidance will no longer be insecure, meaning their hearts will no longer be diseased. Whenever you fail to remember Allah, you will not experience assurance. You see, you will feel threatened. You will feel threatened. You will feel vulnerable. You will feel scared. You will feel guilt. You will feel shame. Now, don't feel bad that we all start off there. This is what Adam and Eve were up to. This is our situation. Allah, in the Quran, through guidance, tells us what has happened here. It tells us that we are in a state of forgetfulness. We have forgotten Allah, we have forgotten ourselves, we have forgotten who we are, where we are, what's going on here, how this place works. We're living in a trance. We're worshipping Satan. We think we know, but we don't know. And if you live like that and you continue like that, you are in a state of denial. You are denier of Allah. You are not aware of Allah, experiencing Allah consciousness. You are not aware of Allah. You have ideas of there's no God. You have ideas of other than God being God. And you have ideas of Allah, the Quran, the Prophet. But these are just ideas. They're not really the truth about Allah, the Quran, the Prophet and all. I'm not going to go into that. Listen to the previous lectures for a discourse on hypocrisy and how to recognize if you are a hypocrite, where you say you believe but you don't. You lie to yourself, So the bottom line is that guidance, see, who values guidance? Now, the people who are lost, like I was lost, but I humbled myself and said, it must be me. I took responsibility. I must not know something. I must not be applying myself in a proper way. Guide me. I want to be guided. But most people, they don't want to be guided because they think they're already guided. They went to madrasa, they told them what to read, when to read, don't eat the pig, this, that and the other. But they didn't teach them about tayyib. Strange. They told them about halal, but they didn't teach them about tayyib. Somebody picked and chosen what to share. They told them about the Prophet and his beard, but they didn't tell them the Prophet was healthy, fit, strong. He was active. He didn't overeat. He wasn't a compulsive eater. He actually, did not fill his stomach up with food. There was, he didn't eat until he was stuffed. He didn't become a stuffed human being, that you look at some, people like a stuffed toy. It's stuffed. You see some of the gurus and the pandits, they look like stuffed. Remember, they're stuffed, filled up, bulging with bulges and with, the balcony and, you know what I'm talking about. Looks like a pot belly sometimes. So, stuffed. The Prophet, so in the madrasas you got picked and chosen. Somebody wanted you to just follow what they told you. They didn't want to see the truth about themselves and the ways they continued Hindu India, so you went to madrasa, very good, and you got half truths and all that, but you think you already know. You think you now know. You're so good, you're so smart, you listen to the gurus and the pandits, they told you everything and now you're following, but you're not guided. You got half truths. And the Quran's guidance, the guidance that is the Quran, you don't know its message. I didn't know. And I didn't know the people around me didn't. I thought they knew. But apparently they didn't know too. Anyway, the story is this, that those who, are willing to remember Allah and willing to support spiritual well-being, this is what it's all about. And for you, a true believer, guidance is the most precious thing in the world. Guidance, not a car, not a house, not a man with money, not a woman with money, not this, not that, not children with money, whatever it is. What a good job, whatever. It's guidance. Because the people and things of this world are part of the created world. You can't turn to them. They alone do we worship Allah. They alone do we turn to. You get what I mean? Real believers. fake believers, hypocrites, they'll say that they turn to Allah, but they're really depending on other people themselves, their abilities in the world to earn money, start a business, and they, hypocrites. They say they believe in Allah on the last day, but they don't. You know what I mean? How can they? When did guidance come to them? Did anybody really value guidance? Sticking around being a modified Hindu, doesn't mean you're a believer. The Quran says, don't say you believe, for faith has not entered into your heart. Only those into whose hearts faith has entered. Now I know my heart when there was no faith in my heart, and I know my heart after faith has entered my heart. I know that. The Quran is a book that heals the diseases of the heart. How? How does it heal the disease? You put the Quran on your heart and you rub your heart. That's how it heals the diseases. You just read it in a language you don't understand. Is that how it heals the diseases? It's message. The message. It's message. It's guidance. It's teaching. It's truth. It's telling us about truth and us and what happened here and what's our priority and what the purpose of this is. You see, the hypocrites, they're more interested in this world. They're not interested in the hereafter. I woke up this morning realizing one day this body won't be. Deeper than ever. One day I will cease to be. One day I will cease to be. How many people ever consider one day I will no longer be in this physical form? How many people actually stop to consider that? I will cease to be the human being that I am in this world. There is beyond this that I don't know as a human being. See, now the Quran tells us about that. The home of the hereafter is permanent. This world is temporary. You get what I mean? The Quran tells us there's an afterlife, and that you can enter into that afterlife as a believer. And if you do, last night my mum and I went out for some fresh juice. I had this lovely Ottoman juice. I asked, what's in this Ottoman juice? They said, pure lemon, pure orange, pure pineapple, and some mint leaf. And I was sipping it, and I said to my mum, Shukr to Allah, pure goodness, pure goodness. I could just feel every cell of my body be nourished by that pure goodness. And I said to my mother, Allah's blessing in this world. I'm looking forward to the afterlife. What's waiting for me there? She just looked at me. You know what I mean? Why? Because true believers speak like this. True believers think like this. True believers appreciate what there is here, and they recognize what Allah has given to us and what we can enjoy in this world. Natural goodness. Tayyib, by the way. That's tayyib. It's not your, fizzy sugar drinks. All that drinking sugar, cane sugar, whatever sugar, who knows what's in there. You know what I mean? So my point is, I'm aware that I will cease to be in this world as me. The man that I know, with this body, with this life, with this personality, with all the things that I own and the work that I do, it will end. You see? That's how I know I'm a believer, because when Adam and Eve were tempted by Satan, Satan said to them, shall I show you a world where there's no ending? There's always an end for creation. Allah alone is unending. See, but people live in trances. What am I trying to tell you here? I'm trying to tell you that most people haven't received guidance. That it's really, this world is temporary. You and I are temporary. And that house you're so interested in, and that changing the carpets and the curtains or whatever it is, that car, brand new, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. It's nice. It's not haram. You can have it and enjoy it, that rich man or pretty woman or whatever it is. It's nice. You can have. It's nice to want. It's nice to have. It's nice to get. But that's not the end all and be all. Life is not about the nice things to have and get, and now I got it. It's assured. There is beyond your death. Now, most human beings who worship Satan, they can't hear a word of what I'm saying. They tune out. Like, what is he talking about? Death and afterlife, and it's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to, transition. Shukr to Allah for guidance, because Allah has guided me. You believe in Allah, He guides your heart, that this world is temporary. This world is temporary. And we're all moving swiftly towards our death in this world, but we will be raised up again, and there is accountability beyond our death, and based on how we lived, there is consequences in this world through our death and beyond. The way we live has consequences. The denier, the associate, the hypocrite. What's that? I do my prayers, said the hypocrite. I can hear some of the hypocrites saying, well, I kept all my fast in Ramadan, and I read the Quran in a language I don't understand. And I went for Hajj few times, and I went for Umrah more than few times. And I gave my zakat. And I did this and I did that. Nice. That's the pillars of Islam, the 4 pillars after the first one. What is the first one? It's Tawheed. It's oneness. Can you do the other 4 without having the first one? What if somebody says, I'm going to take a skip on the first pillar, the Tawheed, the oneness, the onlyness, the actuality. I'm not into that. I'll do the other 4. Because that's what I see is happening. And even the other 4, it's questionable, whether you can really pray your salah from not being one who is in acceptance of Tawheed. You know what I mean? Tawheed, the one power. Benevolent, beneficent, you see. Remember Allah. If you fail to remember Allah, yours will be a depressed life, whether you follow the rituals, don't say you're a believer, basically, Quran says. Faith has not entered into your heart. First article of faith, Tawheed, submission, faith into your heart. Shukr to Allah, I have faith in my heart. The Quran says, Allah puts tranquility into the hearts of the believers as He expands them in faith. Shukr to Allah. These are things I value. You see, when guidance comes to you, you're not the same person anymore. You're a changed person, because your values change. If you're the same person and guidance comes to you, and after you think you received the guidance but you're still the same person, guidance hasn't come to you, or you haven't accepted it. You get what I mean? Guidance changes you, because you're superstitious before that, and now you're enlightened. You're into darkness, now you are into the light. You were in a trance, now you are in truth. You get what I mean? So people are just living in that trance, ignorant, superstitious, arrogant, entitled, kafuran, but they're very good with their religious teachings. They are religious, they have a religious identity. So people in the world either have an anti-religious identity or a religious identity. Generally, the non-believers have a anti-religious or a religious identity. They have ideas that God doesn't exist, atheism, etc., etc. Or they have ideas about God, Jesus is God, Mary is God, this idol is God, Ganesha is God, Krishna is God, something in having a form as God, this thing in my mind is God. You get what I mean? The deniers, the associators, and the hypocrites. They say, well, Allah is God in the Quran and the Prophet and Islam. They're using all the right words, but they have no clue what they are really talking about. They don't know the message of the Quran, they don't know Allah, they haven't remembered Allah, there's no faith in their hearts. You get what I mean? So, in those 3 categories of people, people are either anti-religious or religious. It's the same thing. They're not really spiritual, they're not Iman focused. They're not focused on Iman. They can say they're focused. Like if you focus on Islam but not Iman, if you're against Iman but you're for Islam but against Iman, you get what I mean? You're not a believer, you're a hypocrite. If you're for Islam but you're not for Allah, you worship Islam, you don't worship Allah. You're here to remember Allah. You're here to bring to Allah a purified heart. You're here to learn, developmental learning. You're here to grow. The Quran guided people to hygiene. That's developmental growth. When somebody is not hygienic and now they're hygienic, that is developmental learning. That's growth. You know what I mean? How to conduct ourselves in the world is also in the Quran. It's development, societal development, ethics, and so on and so forth in the Quran. You know, how to conduct yourself, health, diet, you know, all sorts of things in the Quran. People are not interested in the message of the Quran, the Islamis. They're not interested in it. They're still in their first life. They're still in that ideas of this world is permanent and will not perish, and it's all about the things of this world, and they're more focused in this world than they're focused on their death and their afterlife. And they're not focused on Allah, they're more focused on conditions. Help me, this is seeming so bad. What if this happens? What if that happens? Look what happened, and so on and so forth. I don't know if you're with me. I'm describing you. By describing people you know. I'm describing who I was before guidance came to me. After guidance came to me, I'm a different person. I'm focused beyond the temporary world. I understand the temporary world is temporary. I understand that my body is temporary. I understand that people, things and experiences in this world is temporary. It's a created world. It came into existence. It will go out of existence. I understand that. I'm not too hung up on this world and things in this world. I know I'm going to die. I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not going to hold on to this world and hold on to the things and hold on to my ideas and hold on to my career and all these things, you know, my role as a parent or a spouse or a child of a parent. I'm not going to get hooked on and, think that the worst thing is this and that of this world. I told you, I'm not going to get hooked on suffering in this world. The worst thing in this world is to live and die as a non-believer, to be raised up as a non-believer. That's the worst thing in the world. To live in this world and not receive guidance and to not live on priority. That's the worst thing in this world. To not awaken, to not remember Allah. That's the worst thing. To not experience, to not remember Allah, and your heart doesn't experience assurance. That's the worst thing. For your heart to be insecure, for you to live insecure and continue to live insecure, looking for relief, safety and excitement, thinking that something and somebody in this world is going to save you and help you, and you're okay for now in this world, so you're going to be okay. You're not going to die because you got a good job, or you're not going to die because you got a good husband who gives you money, or you got a good wife, whatever, children, whatever. So, you're not going to die, basically. Let's not talk about death, most people, Let's not talk about the afterlife. Most people are like, do you think the afterlife exists? The Quran has a lot to say about that. The one who gave you life the first time will give you life again. The miracle of birth, the miracle of the afterlife, the miracle of this world, the miracle of the world beyond. Sequential. You know what I mean? So Allah is telling us in the Quran, what is your focus? Do you focus on me? Focus on using me, trying to get me to sort your problems out, or you focus on me? Is it about you, or is it about me? Allah is asking. Remember me, glorify me. Not because Allah is bored and is wanting somebody to, is a megalomaniac, wants power, wants people to fall at his, throne, bow and all. No. The guidance is for us. The guidance is out of Allah's love for us. You get what I mean? So, not everybody, even after me saying this, not everybody is still going to register your death and your afterlife, because you're too deep in Satan worship and you're so absorbed in the roles that you play. I'm this worker, I'm this parent, I'm this son or daughter, I'm this, that, the other. I got work to do, I have to go to work today, tomorrow, I got to do this for my family, I got to cook food, I got to earn the money, I got to do this and I got to do... Yeah, it's going to come to an end one day. No, it won't. It won't. Do you live like that? Do you live like your roles as a parent, a child, a sibling, a boss, employee, business owner, mother, homemaker, whatever it is, whatever it is, do you live like that role is the most important thing? You understand? Because if you do, it means you're in trouble, according to teachings. Because Our role is to remember Allah and remember who we are. And what we are is the creation of Allah. And it's because of Allah we are, and it's because of Allah we continue to be. Allah created this world. Adam and Eve were given guidance, they turned away. Human beings now bear the brunt of that. You know what I mean? We are here now. We're in this world. And we're living. And people are living without the awareness of what happened, and what is happening, and what is going to happen. Allah's mercy is Quran. Allah's mercy to humanity. People are like, we don't want to hear what that is all about and what it's telling us. It's telling you what happened, and that you have forgotten, and that you are lost, and you are in darkness. Even the Prophet was lost in darkness. The Quran says, did we not find you in darkness? And did we not bring you into the light? Allah brought him into the light. Allah brings us into the light. Allah adores humanity. Allah has preferred us, beyond other creation. We're the highest life form on earth that we know, given the ability to reason and reflect and to apply ourselves responsibly, to feel resonance, to relate to, So, busy are we in our false phantom identities. This happened to me, that's happening, look what's happening in the world, the current situation in my life, in other people's life. The Quran guides us to first focus on Allah, the Creator. Stop making the world as important as you think it is. Don't make it more important than it is. I'm not telling you that the world is not important. I'm not telling you having a nice home, husband, wife, children, car, petrol, whatever it is. I'm not telling you that those things are bad and wrong. I'm telling you that when you get attached to it and you get absorbed in it, if your whole life is around, you're controlled by things and you're trying to control things, if you're lost in a trance and you forget that I'm going to die and I'm answerable and there is an afterlife, if you forget that, if you live like, nah, not me, I'm not going to die, and there's no afterlife, there's nothing for me to prepare for my death, there's nothing for me to prepare for my afterlife, no, I'm all about make sure I succeed in this world and get successful in this world, you can do that. But if you forget about the success, true success of this world, remembering Allah, experiencing assurance in your heart, experiencing the power of Allah in your life, you understand? That is the real success. Remember Allah abundantly that you may attain felicity, that you may attain happiness, success. Real happiness and success. Because the deniers that are also, they have husbands and wives that are wealthy and give them things. The hypocrites also, whether it's kuffar, whether it's the munafiq, the hypocrites, but I use the order of whether it is the deniers, the kuffar, the mushrik, the associators, or the munafiq, the hypocrites, the self-deceivers. They all live like that in this world and forgetting about the death and the afterlife. They all absorbed in like they're not going to die. They're all attached. And among them you'll get very seemingly worldly successful people. But is that real success? Is that real success? You can have the success of Solomon, who was connected to Allah and who invoked Allah's favor in this world. He had a kingdom that no king before him had and no king after him will have. Understand what I'm saying? You could be unaware, and you might be unaware that you're unaware. See, that's where I was. And guidance came to me when I was aware that I was unaware, and I was aware that there was guidance for me to become aware of. And I received that guidance. I valued that guidance. Now with the guidance, I know what's going on. I know what happened to human beings. I know what's happening to human beings. I'm understanding what is happening in the world. If you read the Quran with understanding, when you claim refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed, if you're really a submitter, Allah will guide your heart. Through intuitive guidance, you will know. You will come to be aware. Things you never knew, you will come to be aware. Through intuitive guidance. This is Allah guides those who believe in Him. It's mercy. And so, I now see things very differently from where I was before. I was superstitious, I was ignorant, I was arrogant, I was entitled, I was kafuran. I was feeling very separate, I had ego desires. I was lost, like many of you may be or have been listening to this recording. But no longer am I lost. I understand now. I have understanding. And I'm enlightened. Because the Quran enlightens us. The Quran is enlightenment for humanity, healing the diseases of our hearts, of superstition, ignorance, satanic promptings and whisperings. And so I'm more enlightened now than I've ever been. And I can tell you what's happening here. I can tell you about Allah, the one, the only, the all, the always, Tawheed, that Allah actually is, actual, the real, the true. There is no other power beyond this world, because of whom this world is from our perspective before us. Allah is the one because of whom I have been born and I continue to live. I will live through my death and beyond. I will be raised up by Allah's permission. Allah is the one who will raise me, who gave me life, who will give me death and raise me beyond my death and give me life again. Allah has created me a human being, gave me reason, the ability to reason, faculties, capacities, capabilities. Allah is the one who gave me guidance. I was astray, and Allah, I humbled myself, and Allah gave me guidance. Allah guided me to His power, His privileging, His provisioning, that which we provided with. Allah has guided me to become aware, to experience. Allah has shown me how this world works. Allah has revealed His secrets to me. Allah reveals His secrets to whom He wills, those which He wills to reveal. Understand? Allah is all wise, and He gives wisdom to whom He wills. And I asked, Allah knows, the knower, He is the all aware, and I asked to be increased in awareness, and Allah has increased me in awareness. So I know what's going on here. So when you don't know that you require guidance, and you don't know there's a thing called guidance, and you don't know the value of guidance, you will live not remembering Allah, and you won't experience a heart that is assured. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. So, until you remember Allah, your heart will not experience assurance. The Quran says the human beings, when they forgot Allah, they went into insecurity. Those who received the guidance will no longer be insecure. So this is the turning point. That when human beings start realizing, I am suffering like I was, not because of Allah, but because of my lack of being guided. I am not guided. There's guidance for me. But I went to madrasa. I told you about madrasa. I told you about the gurus and the pandits. If you still think that's sufficient, well, that's between you and Allah. It wasn't sufficient for me. Allah alone is sufficient for me. And I humble myself. I claim refuge not in Maulana or Guru or Pandit. I claim refuge in Allah. A'udhu billah. Allah is my refuge. Allah has guided me to show me that I require a refuge, and that I can claim the refuge with Him, that there is for me with Him a place of safety, a place of sanctuary, place of peace. So I feel peace in my heart, salam, more than I have ever. Because I'm one who humbled myself when I was arrogant, superstitious, when I thought I knew. I humbled myself. I did, and I remain humble, and I ask Allah to guide me. And when guidance comes to me, I receive guidance. I use guidance. I see where I'm in error, and I correct. And so, what I want to share with you in the time remaining today is the fundamental shift that takes place when you become aware of something truly profound. So, until you remember Allah, you'll be insecure. Until you receive guidance, you'll be insecure. Those who receive guidance will no longer be insecure. And those who remember Allah with the guidance, when you remember Allah, your heart will experience assurance. So this is the bottom line. The main problem is that If you want to complain about something, complain about the fact that your heart doesn't feel assured. Complain about the fact that your heart is diseased. Remember, the Quran says it's for us to bring to Allah a diseased heart. This Quran is a healing of the diseases in the hearts of humanity. If there is a problem, because there is a priority, there is one thing that is the most important thing for us to do here, while we are here before we die. You can do everything else besides doing this one thing. Amass wealth, marry, have children. Neither will your wealth nor your children avail you, the Quran says, except those who bring to Allah a purified heart. So my mission, the Quran guides us to a mission. The mission that I have undertaken is the mission to actually purify my heart. Not just to be a ritualistic person who does rituals, but to bring to Allah a purified heart, to have Iman enter my heart. This is the priority. If you do anything else besides remembering Allah and bringing to Allah a purified heart, if you do anything else except experience, prostrate and draw closer to Allah, because that's what the Quran says, prostrate and draw closer to Allah. If you live your life and you don't have a grasp of Tawheed, submission before the oneness of Allah, the onlyness of Allah, if you don't humble yourself before Allah, if you do everything but simply experience the connection with Allah, your heart will never be assured. You'll be safe in the world with money, people. I got somebody taking care of me. I got things I can buy. I'm not in any kind of financial difficulty or physical difficulty, so I feel safe. It's not the same thing. Relief, safety, and excitement is not the same thing as a believer whose heart experiences assurance. The believer is focused beyond time and space. The believer is focused beyond the created world. This believer is focused on Allah. The believer is experiencing Allah's sufficiency for them, Allah's adequacy for them, Allah's enoughness. You see, this is the most important thing. When you remember Allah, you become aware that Allah is sufficient for you. If you are thinking you remember Allah, if you're believing you remember Allah, but you're not actually remembering Allah, you will not experience Allah as sufficient for you. There will not be any peace in that heart. There will not be any assurance in that heart. Because you're not remembering Allah. Only those who remember Allah, their hearts experience assurance. And this is the turning point for me. The realization, it's not about primarily my money, my job, my partner, my business, my whatever people might be saying, my business partner, my spouse, whatever. It's not about that. If you're still into it's about, I'm a mother, what about my children? I'm a wife, what about my husband? I'm a husband, what about my, wife and children? I'm a teacher, what about my students? I'm a doctor, what about my patients? You're still in that phantom identity. You're still in that, this world is real, I'll never die, there's no hereafter. You'll deny Allah and the hereafter. Get what I mean? Few more about this. So those of us to whom guidance has come and we've accepted, we know this world is temporary, and we know that we will die, and we know that we'll be accountable, and we know that the home of the hereafter is permanent. We know that how we've lived in this world will determine our hereafter. Our main concern is not our health in this world, because our bodies are going to rot in the grave. It's not the house and the car and the petrol and the inheritance. It's not these things. It's not the man, the woman, it's marriage. It's not these things. These things are important, but we don't give it excessive focus or make it more important than it is. If you're a believer, then you have come to accept. If guidance has come to you, then you know you're a temporary being in a temporary world, that Satan has whispered to Adam and Eve and the children of Adam and Eve that forget about your death, forget about your hereafter. It's more about this world and what's going on in this world. That's how you know you're lost. But if guidance has come to you, and you receive that guidance, if you receive the guidance that I know what's going on here, if I didn't receive the guidance, I could have been identified with my role and the role and how that role lives, and I could have denied my death and my hereafter, and I could have died not as a believer, and not with Iman, Amal, Life, Tayyibun. I wouldn't have gone into the hereafter and be ready to answer with light, to my Creator, and forever I could suffer hell. You get what I mean? The believer is aware. They believe in Allah in the last day. You understand? They believe in Allah. They believe in that we are here and there's accountability, that we are here to learn, grow and develop. The believer to whom guidance has come, we're very thankful. You know what I mean? We feel assured. We're like, thank you for telling us, Allah. I mean, if Allah didn't tell us, we wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have known that there's for us to develop ourselves with Iman, Amal, a life tayyibun. We wouldn't have known. And we had just been living in these roles. We wouldn't have known what we are first before anything else is a creation of Allah. First we are the creation of Allah before we are mother, father, husband, wife, son, daughter, boss, employer, employee, car owner, house owner, whatever it is. Whatever these human roles we are in when we forget Allah and we live our lives lost in. If guidance didn't come to me, I would still be in these roles, obsessed with some career, obsessed with money, obsessed with marriage, obsessed with children, obsessed with something in this world. Now guidance has come to me, and I know that I'm to prepare for my death and the hereafter. And I know what that preparation is: developmental learning, transformational growth. I know that there's for me to actually develop myself in Iman, develop myself with Amal, a life tayyibun. There's for me to go from being a beggar to a believer. There's for me to go from an addict to an adult. There's for me to go from a victim to a vicegerent. There's a transformation that's required. You get what I mean? I have come to know, guidance has pointed out that I've been astray. My heart has had a disease. And that I can claim refuge with Allah. And that I can't trust my own mind. Because I've been with Satan for so long, I didn't remember Allah. But Allah guides us to realize that Allah is compassionate and merciful. That even though we've been astray, Allah is open to forgive us. The Quran says it is Satan who has threatened you with insecurity and caused you to behave in ways unseemly. But Allah extends His forgiveness to you. Allah extends His forgiveness to you. And Allah extends of you His bounty. Even though we've been lost all along, before guidance came to us. Even though. Guidance is telling us, focus on how you're going to live going forward, through your death and beyond. Will you learn, grow and develop? Will you become more Allah aware? Will you become security conscious? Will you become security aware? Because if you do, if you have Iman in your heart, you bring to Allah a purified heart, you're not going to live with a diseased heart anymore. You're not going to be astray. You see, until guidance comes to you and you receive the guidance, now your heart starts cleansing. And you're not the same person anymore. And you're not living in the same way anymore. You don't have the same identity anymore. You're now a believer, where once you were a non-believer, either a denier, associator, or a hypocrite. But now you are a believer. You know what you are before you're a father, before you're a mother, before you're a son, before you're a daughter, before you're an employer, before you're a consumer, before you're a citizen, before you're a taxpayer, before you have bills. You're a creation of Allah. And you're here on purpose. And human beings lost their way. You're here to remember Allah. You're here to recognize the power of Allah. You're here to depend on Allah. You're here to withdraw power projections, attributions of significance, exaggerations of importance, suggestions of seriousness and specialness. You're here to stop making this world so important. You're here to see Allah, what He created us, and what we are, and what there is in this world, and is good in this world and the world. You're here to correct your perceptions. You're here to go to a higher perspective and a higher perception. The guidance of the Quran has guided me to that, and Allah's intuitive guidance as well. So, you see, the fundamental difference here, I'll say it again, is from insecurity to security. So what do I mean? Even the hypocrites, when they focus on Allah, they focus on Allah very needily. Please help me. Please, desperately. They're not focusing on Allah, remembering Allah, experiencing assurance in their hearts. So what I can tell you, what I've been telling you last week, what I'm telling you this week as well, is that when you start realizing guidance, and you prioritize guidance and as the most precious thing, and you make a study of the guidance, and you realize without guidance we would have been lost in this world through our death and beyond, forever we would have been lost. But Allah is loving and compassionate. Allah is available to us. Allah is championing us to remember. Allah is championing us to live as a higher functioning human being. Allah is the championer of humanity. Allah could have said, Adam and Eve didn't listen. to hell with them and their children. But Allah gave humanity guidance. That what happened, He explained to us that everything is perfect. Whatever is going on the planet is because human beings forgot Allah. When you forget Allah, your heart will experience disease. You get what I mean? When you forget Allah, your lives will be lives of depression. So there's nothing wrong going on. Allah is telling us what happened. Human beings forgot Allah. They lived without Allah consciousness. They kept themselves from security, self-fulfillment, satisfaction. They kept themselves from Iman, Amal, a life to human. That's why the world is in the state that it is. There's nothing happening here that's wrong. The Quran is guidance for us to correct. If you correct, no longer will you live a depressed life. You get onto the path upon which Allah's favors come to us. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Just a straight path, the path upon whom your blessings. I can tell you, if you live on the path, things just get easier and better for you. Has it got better for me? More and more, I have a perspective of the hereafter as where I'm going. My death is on my mind, and how to live in a way to have a good death. Allah gave me the guidance. But what I want to say in the few minutes remaining is that I already have Allah's love, compassion and mercy. I already have Allah guiding me. Allah already guided humanity. You get what I mean? Through the revelations and the prophets and messengers, the revelators have been said. We already have been guided. So you don't have to ask Allah, please, please, please. You have to say that we already have the guidance, which guides us to recognizing we already have Allah mercy upon us and compassion upon us. We already have. Now this is where I'm going to be focusing on as we go forward. That we already have Allah. We already have Allah who created us, favored. We as human beings went astray, Adam and Eve. And we forgot. But even though Allah gave us the guidance to remember, we can choose to remember or not. We can worship Satan and fail to remember, or we can claim refuge with Allah. We have Allah as a refuge. We already have everything we require. The fact that we were in a trance and thinking we don't have, and thinking please give us Allah, that's the big problem there. When you wake up and you recognize the guidance, you realize Allah had already given us long ago, long before we realized the value of guidance. Guidance has been given to humanity. But we didn't know what we required was guidance, and that we were given it. You see, people think they require money, somebody to change, something to change, but they don't realize what we required was guidance and was given to us long. We already have the guidance. We already have been given the mind to reason and to use the guidance. When are we going to start valuing the guidance that we've been given? When are we going to start recognizing that Allah is already merciful and compassionate? When are we going to recognize we are astray? There's a diseased heart. When are we going to recognize that Allah is our refuge and feel good? We have a refuge. We have to say, Allah, please will you be my refuge. Allah is the refuge. When we have the ability to claim that refuge, when will we claim that refuge? You see, there's never been a problem. There'll never be a problem. To those to whom guidance has come, we're no longer superstitious, ignorant, and arrogant. We are assured. We know exactly what is going on here. We know what we are here to do, what has happened here. We know how to live so that we die as believers and raised up as believers. We know it's an apparency of need. There's no such thing as need. I always said, we can't need. Allah created us to depend on Him. Allah is sufficient for us, adequate for us, enough for us. So what can we need? It's those who deny Allah's sufficiency for us will believe in need. And they're the same hypocrites that say we need you, Allah. We have Allah, who has already given us everything we require. But they're hypocrites. They can't see that what is required is guidance. They don't value it. They don't use it. That's what Allah has given us to benefit us. To see what we have been given prior to that and what we were given after. Inshallah, next week we'll continue. All praise, glory and thanks is due to Allah who guided me to a higher perspective, higher perception. I'm no longer among the superstitious. I'm no longer among the ignorant. I'm no longer among the arrogant. I'm among the people to whom guidance has come. I'm among those who remember Allah and experience assurance. Shukr to Allah. All praise, glory and thanks is due to Allah Almighty. His choicest blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.